Yeah, we realize that we're in a hook there, but I'm just trying to think that there could be some way of avoiding that catastrophe, and saying, well, maybe we are hooked with TransLink because of SkyTrain as a regional thing, but local buses maybe can separate themselves, and you can manage them perhaps more efficiently than through TransLink.
Well, that would be nice, except remember that what we've seen is the GVRD and TransLink have gone along with the provincial government as they've reduced their contribution to transit from 100% to 17% on all of the major projects. So the fact is the provincial government has had a windfall. They have gotten out of funding major transportation initiatives and placed those on local property owners and businesses. Remember, the SkyTrain line, the Expo line, and the Millennium line were paid for 100% by the provincial government. The RAV line is 17% paid for by the provincial government, and they've guaranteed about 17% for the Northeast Sector line. So they've got huge surpluses that are being made on the backs of choices that are made to put these responsibilities onto local homeowners. We have taxed people to the limit. There are massive taxes now for transit on people's homes. The parking tax, as you know, has had huge opposition from the business community. Our gas taxes are among the highest in Canada. So we're in a situation where how many times can we go to this well? How many times can we continue to up people's taxes in order to pay for transit? We are at the point where there is a revolution happening out there from the taxpayers who are saying, I can't absorb anymore. And this is not a progressive source of taxation. Reality is every time we put on property taxes, that affects renters. It affects people on fixed incomes. So these are not easy solutions, not easy ways to be able to make a change. And as I say, while we're trying to deal with the transit system, the provincial government's throwing their money into more blacktop.
Mm-hmm. In that the case, then my question was, why not separate yourself from that program?
Well, we're already considered to be a pariah by the provincial government here in Burnaby because we speak out on these issues. I don't know if I have the capacity to be able to separate from British Columbia and the rest of Canada, and I don't know if my residents want that to happen. Mm-hmm. But it's certainly frustrating for people like me who have some experience and history, who have a pretty good idea of how to spend money and how to look after other people's money. It's pretty frustrating, and I wish there was some other mechanism mm-hmm. to be able to deal with these issues. But you know, effectively those changes are made, and the situation we're in is one that people had an opportunity to avoid. If the public would have stood up at the time of these decisions being made, if the business community would have stood up, then we would be in a different position now.
But they didn't.
They didn't. And there were some politicians who were, in my view, not working in the best interests of TransLink or in the best interests of the public when they made those decisions. It was all about politics. It was all about doing what the provincial government wanted them to do, and it was all about the Olympics. Yeah. And we continue to follow the same pattern now, as there are hundreds of millions of dollars to go into the Olympics, but there isn't sufficient money to be able to look after the mentally ill people on our street, the homeless people on our street. Those responsibilities, they're saying, should be pushed on to municipalities. Well, there's a limit in what we can be expected to do.
Well, in business, they have it a little easier, because if a business is not working out, they just close it down. They close a factory when it's not efficient. They close a store if it's not selling enough. And I see that we're kind of married to TransLink, and you're saying, well, this is not working. There have been some decisions that were not supposed to happen, and we're paying through our ears $100 million a year in profits and for TransLink. Yet I don't hear you saying, I'm quitting.
Well, remember that there's a big distinction in business between the multinational corporations who come in here for a quick profit and move out, transferring these monies into long-term investments where even pension funds are investing because it's such a good deal that we've provided from the taxpayer, and small business, the people who are entrepreneurs out there trying to make a living each day. You know, we've built our country on the back of small business, but it's big business that gets all the advantages. So the problems for many small businesses in absorbing all of these taxes are huge. In the city of Vancouver, as you know, is that the small businesses are protesting mightily about their tax burden and wanting it to be shifted to the residential homeowner. So we're looking at businesses that are being taxed out of existence. And remember, property tax is no less regressive with a business than it is with residents. I can have a business that's sitting on 5,000 square feet of property almost going bankrupt, and next door a business is sitting on 5,000 square feet of property and making $10 million a year. Is it fair that both of them pay the same amount to support transit, parks, homelessness, social policy? It's not fair. Our tax system from the point of view of GST, PST, or income or corporate tax is a progressive tax. It reflects how much profit you're making, how much you're making as a result of your earnings, and it's a fair way of redistributing the way we operate. But property taxes aren't.
All right. Well, businesses are based on efficiency. If a business is not efficient, they'll just go out of business. But let's leave that topic for a minute because we have talked enough about it. All right. You talked about voters, and voters should go and vote. We have a website called nowpolling.ca. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it sometime.
No, I will, though.
Nowpolling.ca is basically a forum where people go and vote on issues. Housing, police, welfare, education, all the social issues have questions there. We have over 100 questions there. And of course, people choose the ones that are more a priority to themselves. And we also have a list of candidates and different levels of government, like municipal and provincial and federal. Do you think people should go and give their support or take their support away from politicians in a perpetual manner, not only during elections, but constantly? People should go and say, I support Mr. Corrigan or I don't support Mr. Corrigan. Do you think that would be fair for politicians?
Oh, I love to get responses from the community, and as the most accessible politicians, local politicians, civic politicians, get the most information about what people are thinking and what their desires are.
The Premier was offering millions of dollars to municipalities, and if you do it the 3Ps way, you can have a lot of money from the province. What do you think about that 3Ps?
I've never seen any of his money at all, and despite the fact that we keep applying every time they say there's money out there, one of the things they do is they have 50 different programs and they announce the money 7 or 8 times, so that they're still announcing money that was 2003 money. They're still announcing it now because they haven't spent it. So the other thing is there are very few people out there with the level of sophistication in the media to be able to actually examine what the provincial and federal government are doing and what those announcements mean. Is the provincial government has announced all kinds of plans that have resulted in only a few hundred units of housing, and yet even in my city there are thousands of people on the waiting list for social housing. So the reality is that they throw this out as essentially something to keep people satisfied that they're doing something, but the real impact is negligible, and the reality on the street doesn't change. Is that they promised to build 400 or 500 units of supportive housing with thousands of people homeless. Mm-hmm. What's that going to change? If you give 500 housing and you leave 2,500 out on the street, that's not going to make a perceptible change. But at least it keeps the media happy that they're doing something.
Yeah. Mr. Corrigan, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
If you can change your vote when you change your mind, that is what democracy is all about. Now polling.ca.
Perpetual democracy doesn't mean that you have to vote every day. It just means that you have the right and the ability to vote anytime you want. And that is what perpetual democracy is all about.